Welcome to the kitchen. We're having a kitchen day. I was thinking about those of us who can't eat gluten, who can't eat dairy, and some of these like really yummy, creamy, glutinous meals that we might see other people eating this time of year, and we have to convert it. We have to do something different. And I've been cooking gluten and dairy free for a very long time, so it is a very easy swap out for me. I thought maybe you would like to come along with me on some of these recipes. There's going to be a lot of soup. I love soup. I love soup. I'm having friends over tomorrow. I'm making a chicken corn chowder, and I'm going to make it dairy free and gluten free. So I thought I'd take you along. I'm going to cut the bacon so I can have tiny bite-sized pieces. I cut up some potatoes. I don't know, maybe this would be the equivalent of about 4 large potatoes. I'm just using all the different potatoes that came out of our garden. So we had some small potatoes, those I left the skin on. The larger ones I took the skin off. I chopped up some onion the other day. This is probably the equivalent of 1 large onion. And then I've got my giant bag of celery. This is frozen. I'm gonna take a couple of handfuls out of there. 4 or 5 celery stalks, whatever you like. If you don't like celery, I'm sure you could just leave that out. It probably isn't terribly necessary. All right, we're gonna remove the bacon. And then we're left with these nice drippings. And you wanna use the highest quality bacon you can find. This is not the highest quality bacon, but it's the highest quality bacon I could find. I would much prefer to have bacon that came from a 100% grass-fed animal, and I just wasn't able to find any for this. So into the drippings, you're gonna throw in your onion and your celery. And you're gonna cook that in the drippings. I'm also gonna add a couple of gloves of avocado oil, just to add a little bit more fat in there, because we're gonna need it when we add some gluten-free flour in to thicken this for the soup. Now, if you can use butter instead of the avocado oil, you could absolutely substitute that with butter. All right, this has been cooking for a little while, and we're gonna add about, I don't know, 1/3 of a cup to a 1/2 cup of gluten-free 1-to-1 flour. This is a flour that you can use interchangeably with regular flour. So you don't really have to overthink anything. You can just substitute it 1 for 1. And you'll see that just sucked up all that liquid. And we're just gonna give it a little bit of a cook so we're not like eating raw flour. So we're gonna add anywhere from like 6 to 8 cups of broth. All right, how many of you noticed? Did you notice? We had a costume change. I switched the pot. I wanted to make it in the cast iron pot. And the reason I switched it at this stage is because sometimes if you start the bacon in the cast iron pan, you can turn your soup a really funny color, a really dark color. I normally wouldn't mind that at all, but it's for company, and I'd like it to be a good color. So I switched it into the cast iron pot at this stage, and then I'm just getting my whisk in here, making sure that the flour incorporates into the broth. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, then I'm gonna reduce the heat and add the potatoes. Basically, you're making soup gravy. Oh my gosh, soup gravy. It's like the best thing in the world, soup gravy. I just made an afternoon cup of coffee. I only drink decaf, but I usually just drink 2 cups in the morning, and I was just having that feeling like I've got a little cold, and I was thinking, oh, wouldn't a sweet, like honey sweetened cup of coffee with a little cinnamon be so yummy right now while I'm making soup? But I got really hot. I had to take my scarf off. I got really hot, but it's delicious. I should whip up a batch of like pumpkin spicy coffee yumminess. All right, so we're gonna add our potatoes into this soup gravy. I forgot to add the paprika when I was doing the sauteing the onion and celery. I'm gonna add a little bit now. I don't prefer to add things like this late in the game. I like to toast them in the oil, but I think I can get away with it. I'm not gonna add a ton. I'm gonna whisk it in. You also could add peppers to this, a red pepper, a yellow pepper, an orange pepper, a green pepper, spicy pepper, whatever you like. I might end up adding some later. I haven't decided. So I thought I'd add the paprika just to give it that like really nice little hint of color in there. All right, I've got my salt and pepper here. I'm guessing it's probably gonna need a little bit. So obviously you're not gonna eat the potato, but you're just gonna taste this broth at this point, because all those flavors are going to go into the chicken and the potatoes. Chicken comes later. Okay, that's pretty bland. All right, so we're going to add some salt. Going to add some pepper. Taste again. Better. A little bit more salt, because when those potatoes go in, they're going to suck it up. All right, there's our soup gravy. Now we're just gonna turn this down and let these potatoes cook and soften up. These had all my herbs on them that I was working on all summer long. And now that autumn has come, I really wanted to do something more special up here. So I took a lot of my special pottery and I just made a beautiful shelf. And then I did all my candle holders up top. I imagine we'll be using those more and more. I either need to make some beeswax candles or order some, depending on what I'm feeling like right now. I prefer to make them, but right now ordering them might just be one thing that I'm gonna like take help with. So I just wanted to show you this because I think it looks really special. Let me see if I can stand back. These are going to be replaced at some point, and the counters are going to be replaced at some point, but you know, renovations take their time. So that was just such an impact for a very, very low cost. Next steps are very, very simple. You're going to add coconut cream. If you can't get coconut cream, you can just use a coconut milk and just use the top, the hard coconut cream. Don't take the liquid out. Put it in the refrigerator if you need to, and the hard cream will be on the top. 3-4 cups of corn. I think this is probably about 3. 1, 2, could be 4. If only I could measure. All right, we're just gonna mix this all together. And then I'm gonna decide if I wanna add a little bit more cream, which I think I do. So let's say add about a cup. All right, and that's the last step other than the chicken, which I still have cooking in my Instant Pot. I'm gonna cook the chicken, let it cool, shred it up, and then add it in. And then to serve this, there's my chicken, saying it's done. That's a very long beep. To serve this, you're going to get a nice little bowl full, and you're gonna add some of that crumbly bacon that we took out, and you're gonna pop on some scallions on top. You could put some grated cheddar cheese on this if you wanted to. All right, I just tasted it. It's so good. It doesn't even have the chicken in it yet. I'm thinking it needs a little spice. I might chop up a jalapeno and throw it in there actually, because I forgot to add garlic and I want to get the garlic in there. So when I add the chicken, I'm thinking I might add some jalapeno and some garlic. But you get the idea. This is just a method. Add what you like. Rotate the ingredients in or out based on what you have and what you're craving. If you can still get some corn, you could use fresh corn on the cob for this. This is corn that we got earlier in the season and just froze it. So you could use frozen corn from the store. If you don't like coconut, if you don't like coconut cream, here's a trick. You take about a cup and a half of cashews and soak them in water, then drain them, put them in the blender. They get soft really fast, like an hour, you're fine. Put them in the blender and then put a cup or two of this soup before the chicken has been added into the blender with the cashews. Blend that up and you will have the most delicious creamy chowder you can imagine. I tend to do that with my fish chowders. I tend to use the cashews rather than the coconut cream. I really like the coconut cream in the corn chowder, so it's really just a preference, but that's a really good trick to know, is how to use those cashews to get that really creamy base. And you just add a little bit of the soup, the cashews, boom, you've got a delicious soup. All right, so that is chicken corn chowder, dairy-free, gluten-free. If you make it, let me know, and let me know what you put in your corn chowder. Do you have any little special ingredients that you can share with me? And just a reminder, I did leave out the garlic, but I will write a recipe up for you, kind of like guessing a little bit on measurements, but you know, it's soup. Soup is forgiving. You don't need to measure. All right, I'm gonna go nurse my cold a little bit, drink some more of my decaf coffee. I did drink tea, so I am also drinking tea. I've got my chicken broth in the soup, so that's lovely. And yeah, I can just feel it like starting to settle in. So I'm gonna go rest for a little bit. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Bye. I decided to add some peppers. So I've got a poblano, a jalapeno, and some rando red pepper, which is probably spicy. And hopefully I'm not gonna make this too spicy, but so normally I would add the garlic right around the step before I put the flour in. But again, this soup is so forgiving, so just go for it. That really transformed it, didn't it?